Bienvenido, damas y caballeros. Welcome back to Freeform Radio on the Freeform Network. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Freeform Network. Send in your questions and suggestions to ffnquestions@gmail.com. But again, this is Freeform Radio. I am one of your hosts. My name is Daniel. With me today is Noel.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us.
And we got Andy.
It's all good, Andy. We're back here to talk your ears off and see what's going on in here. What's going on with you guys?
Sweet, man. Yeah, man. The fall weather is finally here. It's a little cooler outside than usual, but we're dealing with it, and we're going to get this podcast going. Hey, Andy, why don't we start off with you this week? I don't even really want to talk about this, man. It is disappointing. Fill us in on your disappointment of the White Sox season so far.
Yeah, man. I mean, after the playoff run they had last year, and then this year it kind of got weird in the beginning. I've been calling for the White Sox manager La Russa to get fired since like June, and then they just never really caught fire. And then La Russa, I think last month, he had to take this medical leave, and then they got the new manager, and they went on this incredible run where they were like literally like 2 games or 1.5 games out on to win the division.
Right.
And they got hot, and then they had some key games these last weeks, especially they played the Cleveland Guardians now, because we can't use the other word. And they fell flat, man, and just couldn't overtake it. And their playoff chances, I mean, they still have a chance, but a lot of shit needs to happen. But it's pretty much done. And partly I blame La Russa on this. I mean, I think he's a Hall of Fame manager, but I think the game just I don't want to say it passed him by, but I think it's time for him to hang it up, enjoy his retirement, and be a Hall of Famer.
The guy's not even the coach right now, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And
you still blame him?
No, that's what I'm saying. The reason they had a chance to be in this playoff hunt is because the interim manager. And La Russa early in the year was just like all over the place. They couldn't hit. Then he kind of mismanaged the bullpen when they were hitting. And it's just, I think La Russa really bungled this year, where there was a lot of big expectations to make the playoffs, and that didn't happen. And as of this morning, I was actually reading something this morning that La Russa is not coming back this year. And even though he's been somewhat medically cleared, he can be at the games, but that supposedly his doctor said not to manage. And the Sox didn't put someone asked them what's going on for next year, and they said right now is not the time to address that situation, but they will do so at the end of the year. So to me, that means he's done. There was no vote of confidence like, yeah, we're going to bring him back. He's the manager, blah, blah, blah. He's just not medical cleared. They are like, he's done. I mean, to me, there's no vote of confidence. I mean, they're done.
Yeah, that would be my guess. My guess is that this will be his last season. I'm not sure if he really did have a medical condition and it was more of a easy way to kind of get him out. I'm sure he had something, like acid reflux, and they're like, dude, just we'll use this as a excuse. Go get a specialist to go look at you. We'll blame it on the doctor and just exit out gracefully.
Correct.
Would be my guess. Now, I didn't have a terrible amount of complaints with La Russa. It did seem like he was a tad slower than maybe more sharper, younger coaches. But I didn't mind it as much. But I think you're right. I think in order for the club to take it to the next step, especially with such a promising year last year, I think a new coach is needed, somebody younger, somebody maybe to go back to some of the younger fundamentals. I mean, look at Makata right now, man. Everybody's shitting on him because the guy is just he's just walking to first. He's not even running, and even his defense at times is kind of lackadaisical. He's just kind of tossing it.
He's not hitting. His defense has always been like, if he's good, it's like average. And then he's not running out plays, running on hits or nothing. And it's just like, I think he's like, I'm fucking checked out. And Ozzy said it best with La Russa. He's basically Ricky Renteria with a better resume, but it's like the same shit.
Right.
And then you had some injuries this year. I understand that, but everybody has injuries. Everybody has to deal with them. And I feel like that core got another wasted year, and the Sox are gonna have to make some decisions because I believe Abreu is on his final year or something. So he's pretty much at the end with his White Sox contract, and it's gonna be an interesting off season. And they do have like a core. Like the Sox always have this weird thing. Like they get young players, and then they get some veterans, and then they do decent, and then you're just like stuck with them. Like, what do I do with these guys? And
Right.
I think that's where they're at right now with Tim Anderson. I mean, he's their guy. He's the face of the organization, but I'm starting to see signs of like he's always getting injured. So, we'll see how it goes. I mean, but I just wanted to let people know that I'm like, yeah, it's been a big fucking disappointment, you know.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure.
And then to change it up a little bit, the other thing right now that's going on is AEW's big CM Punk controversy, and I don't know how much of you guys followed any of that with um, with professional wrestling. That sometimes pro wrestling is best when real life the backstage shit is involved and it comes uh, full front and center. And I mean, you guys are aware of what's going on at all with that?
Nah, man, I've actually fallen off in terms of CM Punk ever since the UFC
Yeah,
put him up against some guys and he got really fucked up.
you're right, right.
Yeah, I was kind of aware that he went into business for himself and kind of was
See,
shitting on Tony Khan a little bit and just other wrestlers in general. So
but basically they had so there's like all this like I mean I loved CM Punk when he was in WWE, and then when he left I kind of he did that interview with Colt Cabana, and when I started hearing him
that was his boy.
yeah, like that shoot interview, I was just like, he's not coming on like really like cool. Then he left to do the UFC thing, and then he was shitting on wrestling fans for a while, and I'm just like, I don't know what's up with this guy. Like, I don't like him. I'm not a big fan of him as I used to be. And when he came back to AEW, um, I mean, there was big hype. He brought some ratings. He got the belt, and then there was like some stuff brewing with the Young Bucks, uh, Kenny Omega, and like Hangman Page, and that's like a group of friends from what I've read and heard. And Hangman Page made some comments because Colt Cabana is signed with AEW and they moved him. And then there was rumors coming out that why don't you see him on TV as much as you used to? And there was alleged rumors that he's like, I don't want to do any business with them. And so
CM Punk.
yeah, CM Punk with Colt Cabana, and then they bought Ring of Honor and they moved them over there. And then Hangman Page made a comment, and then like from there, just like it just balled up. They did that scrum press conference, and like he started shitting on the Young Bucks and Hangman Page and Colt Cabana for some reason. And like Colt hasn't said anything. All these rumors and stuff, he hasn't said anything.
What's
And
Colt Cabana's real name? Because he kept dropping that, and
Robert something, yeah, it was like weird.
because I didn't know he was shitting on him until I had
Yeah,
seen some other articles, and he's like, oh, that's Colt Cabana's real name.
yeah. And then like at that scrum press conference, uh, he just he just went off on everybody, and like the owner of the company's there, he ain't saying a single fucking word. And then it was just rather hilarious to me, and he just let it go on instead of like shutting it down. And then what did he say? It's like, if you don't like what you said, look what I said, you know where to find me.
Right.
And apparently the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega went to find them, and shit went down. And stuff's trickling out and stuff. But yeah, it was just like rather chaotic.
Supposedly he knocked out one of the Young Bucks.
Right. Well, no, his buddy Ace Steel like threw a chair or something.
Oh, was
What's
that it?
funny about all this, Dan? There's a report coming out that the Young Bucks grabbed the AEW's like legal like in-house lawyer, and this person saw this whole thing go down.
Oh,
So now
wow.
they're talking about like lawsuits and shit, and um, yeah. So he supposedly he knocked one of the Young Bucks got knocked out. Kenny Omega got bitten, right? And and that's like, and there's like reports that that they busted down the door and shit. Like it's just like, you know how wrestling gets. And so now they suspended the Young Bucks. I think Kenny Omega, CM Punk supposedly suspended, but he's injured and he's gonna be out a long like for like 8 months. And I don't know what that even means that he's suspended. And then the other day, this weekend, a report came out that they're not bringing him back, and they're in talks about buying out his contract, and he's making something like $5 million a year, and it's like guaranteed or something. Like a big chunk of it's guaranteed, even if he doesn't work.
That's crazy.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, CM Punk is he's done, dude. That guy's career is over. He's got some mental issues, dude. He's got bipolar or something, man. Like he's off the rocker. He needs some meds to control his ass out. And I don't know, man. I really liked him, like you said, when he was in WWE.
He was different, yeah. And
Not only just because of the WWE, but also just because he was a Chicago guy.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was really enamored with him, and I was really happy that he had made it from like the minor leagues, the ECWs, and made it up to something bigger and better. Supposedly WWE. So when he left, I was kind of upset with the organization that they let him go. But now more and more information trickles. This guy was his boy, Cole Cabana, and he had his back. And then all of a sudden, Cole Cabana didn't agree with something that he had said. And so CM Punk like disowned him. They got into a legal lawsuit between each other. And then now he's talking shit with some of the main guys from AEW who helped start
I
the
mean,
organization. So to
and
me, it's
granted,
like, oh, okay, go ahead, Andy.
he did make some comments that made sense, but that's stuff that you handle in house. Like you don't bring it to the public, and that's the problem.
Right. So to me, CM Punk, I wouldn't bring him into my organization, even if he would give me a small pop, because that's all it would be, a small pop.
God damn.
The only time the guy's famous is when he goes to Allstate Arena. Otherwise, ain't nobody tuning in to watch CM Punk anymore.
So
You got the shit beat out of him in UFC, and that's real fighting. So his credibility went down, and I'm a fan of Seder Mania, but this guy, that's another guy that loves CM Punk, man. That guy can't do anything wrong, man.
I was kind of trying to book CM Punk for your next year's birthday party, man, but now I'm not, man, because it sounds like you're like, man, fuck that guy, man.
He had charisma, but
yes,
he never really had this like overwhelmingly powerful physique that makes you think that he's legitimately gonna mess somebody up. And then after he got destroyed in UFC, you're just like, well, he really isn't like a threat. Like I'm sure a lot of people who saw him as like somebody credible, like Daniel said, they pretty much started seeing him just lose and lose, and then just like, nah, this guy is not gonna be able to do anything. Unlike Bobby Lashley and Batista,
Right.
these powerhouses that actually did compete in MMA and actually won, they could still
Brock
be a draw.
Lesnar, yeah.
Brock Lesnar, yep. So man, I don't know, dude. Yeah, CM Punk, I don't think he's gonna be anywhere near the draw he was.
Now wrestling is fake, so whatever fake it, it's scripted, yeah, fake in the sense that it's scripted. So his character is what's supposed to carry him over, and not the belief that he could kick anybody's ass, because I don't think anybody believes that. But his character from his real life is bleeding into his persona in the wrestling ring, and he's coming off as a douchebag, and I think it's going to start hurting him making money. I'm gonna see him soon in Franklin Park wrestling in some garage I bet you, because I don't think this guy is going to be a main event wrestler anymore, unless an organization gets really desperate for like a quick pop, like a WWE is hurting in ratings. Let's bring in CM Punk for a quick, run. But otherwise, this guy's done, man.
Yeah, I mean, I see. Like, I think kudos for him to making that UFC jump, and Dana White knew what he was doing. He was trying to get pay-per-view buys. So I'll give him that. He tried to do it in in a short amount of years, whatever he tried, and that's how you could do. But then he came back, and I'm just like, oh, you coming back after you were shitting on the fans and all that. And he did draw some ratings, he did make some money, but now this whole thing to me comes off kind of entitled, and
Yeah.
that's
Right.
how I look at it. And yes, he's a veteran, and he does have like some advice, but he's coming out as like, oh, I've been through that, listen to me. And some younger people, it all depends. When you could give advice, but don't mean that people are gonna listen. And my final thing on that is, I think if Vince McMahon was still running WWE, he would sign CM Punk. Now that Triple H is running the day to day, if you remember the Colt Cabana podcast and he did that interview, it doesn't sound like he's gonna bring him back. I mean, if he does, I'd be shocked, to be honest with you, because that's what's best for business, is the WWE says. But I don't see that happening with Triple H running it, because in that short interview, he did mention how Triple H kind of derailed them a little bit, especially at that WrestleMania match. Which even at the time, I was like, this shit makes no sense to me. Why Triple H would beat him? But hey, he wanted, he agreed to it. And so, I mean, who knows? But I think we might see him with one more run. Maybe he'll show up in Impact, but we'll see. So, with that being said, let me go to Noel. Something he found something new. So I see you jump back on that employer market. You found back to the workforce, then Noel. And are you already quiet quitting after a week or something?
Nah. Yeah, man. It was a little bit that I really wasn't working just because things were crazy. People were requiring vaccines. People were requiring masks 24/7.
Yeah.
And then you were doing good in the stock market too, right?
Well, initially, man, when COVID first hit, I started investing when everything was like really low, and then there was like a bubble burst, so everything was rising, and I bought low and I sold high. I made some money, and then I kind of just like rested on my profits for a bit. But then the economy is just going to shit, dude, and I'm just like, you know what? I need to get out there. I need to get back on the grind, and so I started looking for a job, and for me, thankfully, man, like it's never been a challenge to get a new job. It's just more trying to find what fits me and what I'm looking for specifically. So thankfully, I was able to find something that fits me financially, fits me in terms of what I want out of a day-to-day type thing. And then ultimately, I wanted something where I get my job done and I go home and that's it. I'm not stressing about like, man, what about this and this and this company, and do I have to answer the calls, emergency shit, and put out fires? And I don't want to be thinking about work when I'm at home. I want to be able to, unwind, de-stress, and then the next day be ready to go. And so, yeah, I started this new job as a customer service rep, and it's going good, man. I've only been there just a couple weeks now. Uh, I started midweek, which was interesting. I'm not gonna say the company name. I don't want to be too public about
Right.
like some stuff like that. But this company is a pretty big company. They're a distributor, and so they handle many calls, many big clients. So I was kind of not stressed. Well, I got stressed in some sense, but I was also like motivated to do the best I could because I knew this company. It's a stable company, and COVID, when it hit, I ended up getting laid off from my last job. So it kind of soured my look at companies in general and just how they treat their employees. But this company, they pretty much told me right off the get go. They're like, yeah, this company, we work 8 to 4:30. You get out, and that's it. Like you're not having to worry about work after that. But when you're here, you're here, and I'm like, that's perfect. Yeah, that's how I roll. He's like, this job, it's an essential job. So no matter what happens, COVID, monkeypox, whatever the fuck comes our way next, we're still gonna be here doing our thing. I'm like, that's perfect. It's exactly what I'm looking for. And
Cool. What do they do there? You're working in customer service, but what do they mainly do at that company?
so they're a distributor of oil,
Okay.
all different kinds of oil. Um,
Nice.
so antifreeze, stuff like that. Like they distribute it all different sorts of stores, industrial, uh, factories and whatnot. So mechanics, anybody that would use motor oil, antifreeze, lubricants, gear oil, all that kind of stuff. So there's thousands of products, thousands of customers, and so literally I started midweek, like I said, and I had a cover for two people that were going on vacation. So I had 1 day of training, which I guess was like more of a shadowing. Like it's not really, it was kind of training, but more observing. And then the next day I was like thrown in the fire. And they literally said, they're like, yeah, man, we need somebody right now because these guys are going on vacation. So, I mean, we're going to be throwing you in the deep end with a bag full of bricks on your back and see how you go. And I'm just like, I'm gonna do the best I can. That's all I can do. And honestly, I think it was for the best because it forced me to learn quicker. It forced me to pick everything up like immediately. And so as soon as I got in there, started getting right to work, started learning as much as I could. And yeah, man, so it's going good.
Yeah, good man. I mean, uh, that's a the CSR stuff is kind of difficult, and like I can completely understand with putting out fires, and you're always trying to find that good work life balance.
Oh man, good man. Yeah, I didn't know about this until just a few days ago. I was talking to my mom and she brought it up. So I was super excited for you, man. I'm glad you're back out there. You're always a smart guy. Maybe sometimes I say too smart for your own good, but if you put yourself out there, man, you'll succeed. So good, man. Good to hear.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so far so good, man. And I'm just like I said, I got thrown in the fire, thrown in the deep end, and after those 2 days, I had this whole last week, and at this point, I'm much more comfortable than I was. And they said, yeah, they're like, yeah, man, you either had a sink or swim, and you swam, so you're doing good. Keep doing what you're doing. And I'm just like, hell yeah, man. And I'm making more money than I've ever made, so it's like that's a plus, man. I could finally start making some moves again and get things going. I have a few side business I want to start up, but that actually leads me to the next thing I want to bring up, man. These car prices, bro, they are insane. I was looking into trying to buy a car, not right this second, but like just in the future, because the car I have, I got it when it was new. I got it brand new. I'm the only owner of this car, but I got it, over a decade ago, and I don't drive a lot, so I don't even have 100,000 miles on the car yet. It's been over a decade, so it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm not in a hurry to get a new car, but
Right.
I'm thinking about it, and I'm looking at these prices. They're insane, dude. It's ridiculous. I was looking at a Subaru. I was thinking of something all-wheel drive since we live in Chicago, snows and all that. And the Subaru, like, not even like the highest package, just something like, reasonable.
What's their
Is
truck brand? The Forester or mm,
The Outback maybe?
Outback? Yeah,
Forester,
Outback's another
Forester
one. Yeah.
Outback. That's not a
Yeah.
hatchback though. But no, I was gonna get the sedan. I was gonna get the WRX.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was looking at the WRX, and that's it's about 35 with just basic package with some minor adjustments and stuff.
No
And I'm
power
like,
windows, no power steering. So you got to crank down their windows.
shit,
I think that's
definitely.
standard now, man.
Yeah, no, but it's crazy, man. It's 35 grand for something that's kind of basic, and to put it in perspective, like most of the good packages are like 38 and above. And I'm like, bro, I can get a brand new 2023 Audi for 38. And just a little bit above that, I can get a brand new Ford Mustang 5.0 GT with all the trimmings and all the packages and shit, all the sound stuff, fucking V8. You know what I mean? So in the 40s, like 42, 43. So I'm like, what is going on with these car prices right now? Like they're not like reasonable for what I'm getting. I know Subaru is not a cheap brand, but at the same time, I remember like let's say 2019, 2020, right before COVID hit, I was looking at car prices as well, and I was looking for a Subaru, and I was looking at the specific WRX around 2020, and it was I want to say like 23, 25 at most, and I was just like, this is good, I'm going to save up for this, get this, finance it, whatever I got to do. And then COVID hit, and it just put a wrench in that plan. But now I'm looking at car prices again, I'm like, no, this isn't the time to buy. It looks like these car companies think everybody's going to fucking overpay on these cars, when a couple years ago they were like 30% cheaper. So we'll see what's gonna happen, man. I don't know if you guys have been looking at prices lately.
It's the inflation and supply chain issues, and it's all wrapped into one. That's why everything's so expensive. Even domestic, like U.S. made cars, like GMC, Ford, and all that, they're crazy expensive. Even Toyotas, I mean, it's through the roof.
Now, were you looking at pricing online, or did you actually go to a dealer?
No, just online right now. I
Okay.
really just wanted to get an idea, because
Yeah.
I know I'm not gonna buy right now.
Yeah, I was just curious to see what dealers are even telling you, and what's their little sales speech on why pricing is high and what's their stock inventory right now. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, that's a good question, man. I haven't looked into it deep enough to get the specific dealers involved.
Right.
Just been mainly looking at like cars.com, Carvana, what is it, Carfax or whatever the hell.
Yeah, that one with the fox. Is that it?
Uh, no, maybe.
I thought the logo was like a fox and it's like a Carfax.com, but it's got like a fox in the logo. Or
But
I don't know,
that's for
maybe I
like
missed.
reports on the cars or something,
I
right?
think
They
they
should
sell cars there too now.
do they?
I
Okay.
think so. I don't know. Yeah.
Or is it
Yeah, used
CarMax?
cars are just crazy. Like earlier, I was looking at like used trucks that are like 5 years or younger, and it's just this. I was like, holy shit! They're like 35,000 for a used one. Like when the new ones are like 50 to 60, but you had to wait forever to get them. So I mean, it's just supply and demand.
Right. Hey, Andy, you've never had a new car, right? You've always bought used?
I mean, the newest car I've had was my old S10. It was like a year old when I bought it. But that's it.
Okay.
Everything else, I've always had used vehicles.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
now
man.
with like the way it is now, I'm like, I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon. Especially what I like full size trucks. And when I was looking for the last truck, there were like 50,000. I'm buying new trucks are now like 60,000 plus.
Right.
That's insane, dude. Man, like that's like a house right there. You could get like a really good down payment on a house for that price. So it's like, is it really worth it, to spend that kind of money on a depreciating asset?
Yeah, there's financial people that tell you don't ever buy new vehicles, and then they're like buy a used one. But it's like pay it cash, and so you won't have payments, and like, but you're also like, then you really got to do your research to find a good vehicle with like little to no problems. Like that's why Toyotas are so popular. The used ones, they did little to no maintenance, and they could take a beating, and they last a long time. But not everybody wants to drive a Camry or a Corolla.
Yeah, honestly, I think I'm leaning towards a Hyundai because they have that 10-year,
That's another one too.
200,000.
The Hyundais, they last forever. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like I said, that's what I have now. It's over 10 years old, not even 100,000 on there. It's running fantastic. It's just kind of beat up from the sun, stuff like that, all the salt and shit over the years. So it's a little, it's getting there where I need a new one probably soon. But
You could just use your bicycle, man.
yeah, right. I need to buy one of those too, man. That's just probably
And those are
overpriced on me.
expensive too, like $100.
Actually, I was looking into electric bikes, dude. I was like, this is like the wave of the future. They go fast as shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
If you're,
obviously
let me ask you
Chicago's.
this: your current commute to your new job, how many miles is it?
Oh
Is it
man,
under
actually,
like
I'm glad you
15
asked
miles?
that. Yeah, it's a beautiful commute, dude. Super easy. Take Manheim, and then there's it's not too far, maybe like 5 miles down the road, and then you make a left, and then you're there, and that's it.
Yeah,
So
I would
yeah,
say till you get a scooter for like the springs to the fall, but then use your used car or whatever car you got right now in the winter.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards a Hyundai all-wheel drive. Maybe get an SUV or whatever, and just something that'll last. Because I don't drive a lot, so I want something that's gonna last me. That I'm the only owner of. That I know somebody didn't fucking peel out every day on the start of the day, and just destroy
Right.
their engine. But we'll see, man. And yeah, just to wrap things up for me, one last thing I want to just throw out there. I don't know if you guys have seen this show yet, but I've been watching Cobra Kai these past couple years, and season 5 came out recently. I finished that one up pretty quick, binged it, and it was a great season, man. A lot of nostalgia
Whoa,
pops.
great! Oh shit!
I want to say great, dude. Like I enjoyed it. Now I don't know if you guys think great is like this is like Emmy worthy. Like I wouldn't say it's Emmy worthy or nothing like that, but it's great in terms of it entertained me every episode. You know what I mean? Like I was watching every episode wanting to see the next, and I'm like fell in love with the universe that they've created here, the Cobra Kai universe.
No, I think Cobra Kai is a great show. I really enjoy it. I think this last season was a little drawn out, and I like that they brought back El Canudo guy. I forget his name now, but the little skinny guy that took over Cobra Kai now. Uh,
Yeah, Silver
Silver. So I like that they brought Silver back. I thought he was a good character in that last Karate Kid official movie.
3. Yeah.
With Daniel Russo. So I thought he was a great bad guy, and I was glad to see
Did
him.
they bring back the bad boy of karate?
Well, hey, don't give any spoilers, man. But supposedly for season 5, that's who they were bringing back. They were bringing back him,
That
the bad boy of
magazine.
yeah,
Yeah.
the
That's how I
bad boy
remember
of
bad
karate.
boy karate. Yeah.
Now I haven't seen it. I see it keep popping up on Netflix, but for whatever reason, I just keep watching Seinfeld, and I haven't started
Yeah.
watching
Seinfeld is
season.
a classic, man.
Right,
Yes.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I haven't watched season 5 yet. And then Junior was kind of wanting to see it too because we've been watching the last 4 seasons together. But he
Nice.
hasn't. I think he kind of lost interest too because he hasn't been really mentioning it a lot. And I think I'm just gonna have to give in, and me and Alana are just gonna have to watch it on our own. But from your review here, man, it sounds like I better get on it.
Yeah, dude. I recommend it, man. It's got a lot of nostalgia pops. And I don't know if you saw like earlier seasons. It mentions what's his name the guy from Japan.
Right. Yeah, the guy is just like keep it for your collection. When he throws
Man,
that
that
shirt.
classic scene. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Where the chick
Yes.
throws the tomato at him and messes up
Yeah.
his shirt.
Yeah.
That's because he
Man,
slept around LaRusso or something, right? Like he punched him.
Supposedly, in the last time LaRusso saw him in Cobra Kai, it shows that he knows how to do the death punch or something, or the paralyzing punch. I forget what they call it.
yeah, it's like a pressure
His
punch
uncle
or
showed it
something.
to him.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I forgot his name, but he's a really popular character in Karate
Something
Kid 2.
son, right?
It's like
Lawrence
I want to
son
say
or
Tenzin or something.
Tenzin son. Yeah.
Uh, I'll find his name. But anyway, yeah, he's in there. He's a big part of the season, and it's just funny, man. It's funny to see these guys just interact again, and now they're friendly. They're working against a common enemy, and there's just a lot of nostalgia, man. I
That's,
love those
that's
movies.
that's why bringing back that guy from Japan or Okinawa, or whatever. You just remember the last time you saw him, Daniel LaRusso won him by bitch slapping the shit out of him for like 20 times in a row, right? And then they're like, "We want you to come back." So
Chosen's his name.
chosen, and then I don't know if they're like, I don't know the dynamic in the show, if they're BFFs now or they're still mortal enemies. But yeah, I mean, I only watched it. Me and the wife only watched it too. Like I think like season 3 or 4, the one where this guy gets hurt, and like
Miguel.
that's it. And I kind of lost interest in it.
Yeah, when Miguel gets hurt, he gets
Yeah,
paralyzed.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, dude, that was a crazy season too, man. But yeah, like there's enemies and they become friends and all that. But right now they're coming up against the common villain, Terry Silver, and I recommend it, dude. Season 5 is pretty good. 10 episodes, goes by quick, and
Okay,
they're not even long. I think they're about like between 35 and 40 minutes
35,
each.
40 minutes usually,
Yeah.
what I remember. Yeah.
But yeah, let's shift it over to you, Daniel. What's going on here? Looks like talking about birthday gifts and the new norm is for it.
Yeah, I was just thinking because we're going to a birthday party later today, and we're getting the gift card together or the just a birthday card going. And it's just like, yeah, how much do you want to throw in there? And it just got me thinking. I'm like, man, with inflation, what's the new norm for like a birthday amount? Before I don't know if people think it's cheap, but I used to just throw like a 20 in there. And to me, it's like a 20 covered the spot for a birthday gift. But with inflation, is that more now? Is it, $40, $30, $50?
I think you'd be
Man,
safe with 50.
man, but to me, 50 is a lot, man. I mean,
Who are
it,
they to you though? Is the question.
That
what
too.
Or is it like a sibling? Is it a cousin? Is it an acquaintance, a colleague?
right. Yeah, I guess all those things come into factor. Um, but to me, I guess thinking of what people's salaries are, let's say somebody's earning 20, $30 an hour. Let's say that's 2 hours of that man's work that you're asking to give away in a card. And where before there was people getting paid $10 an hour, I guess it's the same. If you're working $10 an hour and you give a $20 gift, I guess it comes out to about the same.
Yeah, to me, 25 is like I think like the standard usually. Uh, but like for example, when I get like gifts for my nephews or something like that, I'll usually for like their birthday or Christmas, sometimes I'll go up to like 50, and then just so it's like even across the board, like everyone gets like up to $50.
Right.
Usually between like 30 and 50 in there. But it really, I mean, right now, dude, the way the economy is, it's like it's understandable if you go like 25 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. It just got me thinking, filling out that card. I'm like, man, these birthdays and get-togethers where you got to bring gifts. It's just gonna get more and more expensive. I mean, I already got to pay a shitload for arracheras. Now I got to pay a lot for gift cards and birthday cards. I'm like, man, this is gonna be rough, man. This new inflation that Biden gave us.
Yeah.
I mean, 50 is, I think, expected.
I
Minimum is 40.
Yeah, I think 50 is generous, for
Yes.
sure. Um, but yeah, yeah, I
Is it a
guess
It's a birthday party
yeah, it's a birthday. So
for
yeah,
a
yeah,
kid?
yeah. So to me,
Okay.
50, I think is probably going to become the norm pretty soon. Like Noel was mentioning, car pricing is going up, so I'm sure these new norms for birthday gifts is going to have to go up too. Just something else that was going on with my week is I actually started watching Quantum Leap, man. With all that talk of Quantum Leap the other week, the new one, I started watching the old one, man. I found the old Quantum Leap with Sam and his sidekick, man, and it was cool, man. The first season is really short. I think it's like 9 episodes, so they're about an hour each. So I cranked them out pretty quick, but man, it was some good stuff, and I got season 2 lined up. Maybe start it next week or maybe during this week. But man, it was really excited, especially with all the news. And I think Andy, you're the one that even sent me something about why Bacula didn't sign up to this new one. And since then, there's even been even more articles that supposedly they didn't like the premiere numbers, so that Bacula might be signing on as an exclusive
Really?
producer
That
to
quick?
to
Wow.
to come on and special guest in a couple episodes. So I think a lot of things are switching around because they're putting a lot of money into the new Quantum Leap, and from the little bit that I read, they're not really liking the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody. I mean, when you do shows like this with the reboot, to me, you have to have somebody from the old show, at least one person.
Well, it helps,
And
yeah.
yeah, and I think the other person died. I forget his name. And then so all that's left is Scott Bakula, and even if he does like a couple of shots episodes a year, I think it'll help him out immensely. But yeah, and then you saw the video. I saw the reasons they didn't want him and all this goofy stuff, and now the numbers are people are the numbers reflect that. And then I mean it doesn't help. I think Peacock. I think they are airing it on NBC. Then the day after it's on Peacock or whatever. Because I know there was a lot of ads when I opened up my Peacock app for Quantum Leap, and but I, like I said, I wasn't a big fan of the original one. I wasn't crazy about it, but I mean, it doesn't shock me what you're telling me with the numbers because people were probably expecting like, where's the other guy? You know, where's the original guy?
The thing that I was kind of mistaken from my thought of this new one is I thought they were replacing Sam and Al, but it looks like they're in a different time period altogether. And from my understanding, they're not excluding all the stuff that happened with Sam and Al before. It's a continuation of the story. So my guess is it's like 20 years after Sam and Al left the program or died or whatever the case was. So in that case, I don't mind too much that they changed the characters, especially with making the Al character into a female. It doesn't bother me as much as it did the last time I spoke about it. I thought they were rebooting the entire show and that they were just, bringing that concept onto a modern day, and that's what I didn't really care for. So maybe it'll work. I haven't seen the new one, but the old one was super cool, man. Some really diverse episodes. In one of them, he's a black man in the South in like the 1950s, and then he's a mobster in New York during like the recession times, and some really cool, exciting episodes that really tap into that whole thought process of time travel, and it was really interested. Noel, did you watch the original or even see any of those episodes?
And I'm glad you asked, dude. I came across this show when I was in high school. I was probably like 15, 16. And I would stay up until like 1 in the morning every night watching it on Sci-Fi Channel. And
Oh,
so I'd be in my room just like trying to wind down for the night. And for like the last 2 hours from like 11 to 1 in the morning, I'd be watching this. And I love the show. I ended up buying getting the DVDs later on. And then
cool.
I finally got it on my externals. And yeah, dude, the new show, it looks like, yeah, it picks up a few decades later with Dr. Ben Song. And then he
Okay.
has his version of Al is former Army intelligence officer Edison Augustine. So it's a different iteration, I guess, just different people. But I don't know how the new one's gonna be. But the old one, it's a classic.
Yeah, for sure, man. That catchy tune for the intro and outro is cool, man. And then just the whole premise of the show. Uh, Alana, she watched it here and there, she said, because her grandma actually watched it, even though she doesn't speak English. So I don't know how she got away with it, but she did it. She made it work. And Alana said when she watched a couple episodes, and Al is like a hornball, and that guy is just like, nowadays that wouldn't fly because he's like, being real promiscuous and being real flirtatious with women and kind of taking advances with them. And Alana's just like, man, I didn't know the character was like this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, that's his like little stick is to hit on women. And he got married like 5 times and whatnot. So uh,
And
definitely
The Vietnam thing, when he gets lost or POW or whatever.
yeah, I know in later seasons, this first season it's just Sam, but if I recall correctly, because I used to watch Quantum Leap before when it was on syndicated on TV. But yeah, I know Al becomes the center focal point of a couple episodes, and then there's even a couple episodes where they go back to like the imaging chamber where the whole experiment took place. And there's some stuff in the modern time supposedly with all the lights and doohickeys. That's the other cool
Tron, yep.
part. That's the other cool part that this show is that it's actually I think based like in the 1990s, the time that this imaging chamber takes off and does its thing. And what they perceive to be the future is really weird, man. It's got like these cyberpunk looking cars that got all these lights, and then all the wardrobes got all these like flashing lights and stuff. And I'm like, man, is that what they thought the future would be? Just people walking around in these douchey clothes with all these blinking lights. It's just like, man, it's weird.
Yeah, it looked like Tron a
Douchey.
little bit. It was crazy.
Yeah. No, some really cool stuff, man. I'm really glad that just the whole thought of Quantum Leap came back into my head and it got me thinking about it. So I had to track it down and check it out. Nostalgia is always something good to get you going and kind of go back into something from the past. And actually, guys, that goes into our article of the week. So our article for this week is actually something similar to the Quantum Leap, where it's something that was old, that was brought back and trying to be reinvented for the modern age. And what I'm talking about is G4 TV. I kind of feel like everybody here saw it or kind of viewed it at one time. But G4 TV used to be a TV show um, that was, to me, revolutionary because YouTube still wasn't a thing. The internet was still kind of infancy stuff where not a lot of people used it for video gaming resources other than looking at like Word documents and whatnot, stuff like that. So in the late 1990s and 2000s, this was like the thing, man. G4 TV, at least for me, because and I'm as people know, I'm a gamer, so I like to play video games, and this was like right up my alley, a dedicated TV show for that. Well, anyways, the TV show went out of business. They had issues with finding syndication and finding companies that would broadcast it, so they went away. But just last year, they brought it back with more of an emphasis in streaming, going on Twitch, and then they actually did find a channel that would broadcast it, a dedicated channel. So they came back, but less than a year into this new revitalization of G4 TV, they were hit with layoffs. Roughly about 20 to 30 people got laid off. And the estimate that I found on the internet was that they have staff about close to 200. So uh, pretty big percentage, 10% of their staff has been laid off. And that was at the time of this article that I sent you guys. But actually, since then, a few other people have left, especially some key people that were up at the top, not just editors and people that were in the backgrounds, producers and whatnot. So I guess just to open it up to you guys, the article goes into some more details as far as the show, HR kind of taking people aside, how they hope to keep the show in the same status that it is now and keep the same production level. But I highly doubt that they're going to be able to keep it up, especially with some of the new updates lately with some more key uh, TV persona guys leaving. So tell me, guys, what do you guys think about G4? Did you used to watch it when it was first in its iteration in the late '90s and 2000s?
I did check it out a few times, but not, I wasn't really too into it. What about you, Andy?
I did watch it. I mean, I watched the tech of the show religiously when I would come home from work. I would. It was a daily show. It was on. I did catch glimpses of X Play. Those were like their two big hitters. And then every year, like Attack of the Show and Comic Con, they do the specials and stuff. Like Danny said, it was kind of ahead of its time because YouTube was still in its infancy. The internet was around, but it's not like what it is now. And it was pretty sweet. And then I'm not gonna lie, I mean, they had very nice, beautiful women on the shows. And then they had, but they all knew, a lot of them knew what they were talking about, and it
Yeah, they
wasn't
were
like,
like geeks and video gamers.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
wasn't like in your face, like, just some of the stuff we go through now. But yeah, I mean, I watched it. Kevin Pereira, Olivia Munn, and then Morgan Webb, and then there was a bunch of other people. Even people would leave, and they would hire new people, and I still watched it till the end. Um, but when this came back, I remember the rumors were coming around. G4 came back because their Twitter feed went kind of live after it was like dormant. And then I was kind of excited. And then it wasn't like Danny said, like, I don't know. They were going to really focus on streaming. So I think they signed a deal or something, not a deal, but they were going to work with Twitch. They would
Right.
have YouTube shows and such. And then things weren't really working out. And then earlier in the year, there was like, they started consolidating stuff. The article doesn't go into it, but I've been kind of following it. They had multiple channels, and then they just forced it all into the G4 channel on YouTube. And then uh, Yeah, that's when all the drama kind of started. I don't know how much you know. The article does mention it at the end, but I think that's one of the reasons the G4 did fail because, uh, because of something one of the hosts did. I mean, what do you think, Dan? You think that that little rant she went on helped them, or it made things worse? Because that's why everybody's pointing to.
It sounds like you're kind of aware of it, and you're right. At the end of the article, in one of their updates, they do kind of mention it, how this Indiana Frost Black lady went on a rant in one of their episodes. I think it was like X Play, or I forget what show they were
I
in.
think it was X Play.
Right. So it was a conversational show where they were all talking, and she kind of went on her soapbox. I think with some rightfully so points of view, as far as how back in the day gaming used to be a little more sexist. Maybe even today it's still sexist, but back in the day even more so. Olivia Munn was doing ridiculous stuff to kind of get guys riled up. The Man Show was really popular. That I don't know if it was the Man Show, the one that your boy from UFC was on, from Fear
Joe
Factor,
Rogan.
Joe
Yeah.
Rogan. So there was shows like that where men were being pigs, and it was cool to be that. It was cool to be
Pigs.
it was cool to be misogynistic and sexist, and it was kind of glorified on those TV
Racist.
shows. Well, not race. I don't remember racism in those shows, but sexism for sure. So I think that portion of her rant is valid. That's not necessarily needed now in today's day to be relevant. So
Is
in that point, I do agree with her. The part that I kind of disagree with her is that at the very end, she really starts shitting on saying that that's what the audience is right now, and she's
yes.
tired of it,
Yeah.
and that if you're those type of people, don't
Eat a
watch.
dick.
Yeah, nothing about improve yourself, stop being that kind of person, be here for the content. And she was kind of shitting on him that it's free content. He's like, we're doing this for free, you just watch it on TV and YouTube. He's like, shame on you, you should be paying for it and stuff like that. So I think it kind of came off the wrong way.
Well,
I lastly, I heard some kind of negative stuff about her. I think it's the whole woke kind of mentality that I think rubbed some gamers the wrong way with this particular rant.
I mean, from my understanding, then leading up to that rant, so there already were hurting for viewers on the streams, but she's made comments in the past that were like, this makes no fucking sense. I think one of the big ones I remember a couple of days before that, she was shitting on the PlayStation 5, saying like it's a dead system. It's on his last days, and people are like, "The fuck are you talking about?" It's like it's it's like the number one system, and she was uh, shitting on it, and people came out. There was a lot of people on Twitter and on the stream chat shitting on her, like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I think that kind of led to that rant where about sexism in game, because she was getting a lot of criticism, and people were like, you have no idea what you're talking about. And then that's when that rant came on, attacking people who were, I mean, I guess correcting her. I mean, but like what she said, some of that it is true, but she was attacking people who already watch her, and a lot of people cheered her on. And on the show, the CEO, I forget his name, he was applauding. Sassler was like, "This is the most amazing thing on live TV." And from that, it went from bad to fucking worse. Everybody stopped watching, and they're like, if you read the comments, like I was expecting like this full G4, like how things used to be, but I'm also wasn't expecting to get attacked for knowing, having some knowledge on the stuff that they're talking about, and just people stop watching. And then the article talks about the mass layoffs, and then she sends a tweet like, "I survived, let's game." And you're just being like a total like uh not being empathetic to your fellow employees that just got laid off. And
Especially when she might have been one of the contributing factors.
yes, I don't want to
For
say that,
sure.
but that's why on the internet everybody's saying she's the reason it failed. but I think she started that fire, and then
Yeah, she
Sessler,
put gasoline on that fire
yeah,
and just made it
Sessler
burn faster.
too. They don't want to hear different opinions, which is fine. So people are like, well, we're not gonna watch. We'll do what you said, and that too. And like people just want to go listen to games or hear your reviews and have some dialogue, even though there's difference of opinion. But she went on this thing like y'all fucking sexist because I'm not hot like Munn and Morgan Webb. I'm not here for you guys to jerk off to me and all this stuff. And I'm just like, wow, like where's this coming from? And then people stop watching, and then I don't know if it's gonna make it till the end of the year. I mean, I've seen that. I heard they did a couple streams since the massive layoffs. I heard Frost is gone. Kevin Pereira quit. I I don't know about Sessler. That's the only one where it's unknown. The article doesn't talk about him, and those are like the big two. Those were like the big three, and I heard other people left to work somewhere else. So I mean, I don't know what is going to become of it, but I think it's a dead brand now. And I mean, they made an effort, but you never attack your viewers or listeners because it just that's not a good idea. And I think what we've learned from the last couple of years, when you attack people who you want to go purchase stuff, hence movies and guys are fucking misogynistic people and all this, and the shit fails. It's just like, well, you're attacking the very people you want to purchase a ticket or watch your content
Right.
or listen to your content.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with everything all of our listeners do, but I don't shit on them or judge on them. I mean, if you like watching, Citizen Kane and you think that's the best movie ever, man, that's on
It is
you,
the
man. I
best
mean,
movie, and
I
critics agree with me that.
that's on you if that's what you think. And if
Honestly,
you
man,
think
it's definitely not the best movie.
and if you watch the new Star Wars and you say that those are the best movies ever, more power to you. I'm happy for you, and what you think doesn't make me want to shame you for that. So now I know these are bigger issues that she's talking about, but I I think the other thing is that she's not a real journalist.
Damn.
She's a lady that, well, I mean, honestly, she's a lady that worked at League of Legends, video gaming. She became popular for becoming hip, cool, different, a woman, and people gravitated to her. So when G4 was looking to bring women back, Olivia Munn didn't want to come back. Morgan Sessler did not want to come back. So they brought this lady back to get the woman pop, and maybe with the intent that she would be a little sexy and bring that sexiness back to the G4. I'm not really sure. But when it didn't work out that way, and when people were like, well, you guys don't have eye candy on this show like you used to, I could see assholes going into her DMs and kind of giving her shit for it. So I think it's part of this problem was the G4 production team, where if they wanted to bring back G4 the way it was, they needed to bring some of that sexiness back with them. Now, if they wanted to make something totally different, it looks like that's what they're doing, and that's what they did, and maybe that's why
Well,
it didn't succeed, and maybe that's why
they
they're having issues.
they did try, and they did try having more diverse views, which is fine, but it wasn't working. That's why the stream numbers or whatever wasn't like where they wanted it to be, and like that was the worst red flag. And then when you say stuff like some you have some opinions with no, I mean, we all say dumb shit, right? But she's supposed to be from my understanding like an expert and all this, and she says shit like PlayStation is dead and it's on its last legs. Like people are like, well, are you trolling here? Like what the fuck? Like it didn't make any sense. And then from that she went into this rant, and it's just like people are like, man, fuck this. Like I'm not here to fucking be berated either while I'm watching a review of whatever fucking game that they're trying to push, and it just went downhill from there. And then the numbers never really rose. And I mean, just like to be clear, G4 is owned by Comcast. That's on like Peacock Universal stuff. So who knows what they're gonna do with this? But I they try to be different. It just didn't work, and they invested a lot of money. Like if you look at their studios, it's pretty sweet, and they got like a nice setup, and Just didn't fucking work, man.
What I heard too is that they bought out her contract. Comcast did,
Hmm.
so they don't have to have her on there ever again. Maybe there'll be other people that can take her place. I think, like what we were saying earlier, she did cause a lot of controversy, and after that rant that she did, which she pretty much called like men pigs and all that, she had
Yeah.
some really controversial like comments and tweets after that, and specifically to one like model or one celebrity who she said she would drink her period blood. That's how hot she was or whatever. She says, I'd even drink her period blood. And everyone unanimously is like, "Are you a fucking hypocrite? You're disgusting. You think if guys were to do that, you think we would get away with it? Like, why is it okay for you to say that?"
No,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's. I mean, let us know what you guys think at ffnquestions@gmail.com. But when you attack your base and people you want you to support you by watching and doing, like, that's never a good idea.
Right. To me, I don't mind the thought of bringing back old stuff with nostalgia. I dig stuff like that. I mean, Ninja Turtles, they just packaged all the old Ninja Turtle games in one package and re-released it, and it's really hot. The Castlevania games, they repackaged all the old Castlevania games and re-released it, and it was a hot seller. Same thing with Mega Man and a bunch of other stuff. So nostalgia is really good, especially in video gaming. So I'm surprised G4 didn't do more as far as ratings, but I think when you change it too much from what its original source was, I think that's where some of the people that tuned in for nostalgia, they're probably gonna bounce because they're like, this isn't what I used to watch back in the day.
And they're calling me a pig, so I'm done.
Right, right, for sure, man. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure who they were trying to appease there.
Yeah, and in today, where the way people consume media is so, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's so weird now. I mean, I don't know. It's that's a balance you got to try to find, and um, there's so much stuff streaming live all the time. I mean, there's stuff that I like to watch live, and it's even hard for me, and I
And
barely do shit.
and maybe what she was saying was 100% true. I mean, how many people do you think that work at McDonald's don't feel like telling the people that come through the drive-through, quit being an asshole, quit doing this,
Yeah.
quit doing that? But you're not in that position. These people are paying your
Well,
paycheck. They're your viewers. They're your customers. Sometimes you got to put up with some of their
well,
bullshit and just deal with it.
just one real quick, like, think about what you just said. Then, how many times in this world we live in today, the old saying, "The customer's always right."
Right.
But you talk about, we all have those things like "fuck you," "you're an asshole," or "this customer sucks balls." But now there's signs like when you pull up to McDonald's, like, "Be courteous, we're short staffed," blah 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 blah. Like, now they're telling you, like, don't be an asshole.
Right.
When your job is to deal with assholes and try to appease them to where it gets to a certain point where they're unreasonable. But
For sure.
that's what I'm saying. That, like, now there are people like, if you're like this, we don't want to do business with you. Fuck off. Don't come here. And some people are cool with it, but apparently a lot of people are not, and that's why you see businesses are hurting when they make political statements and all that other stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think just like CM Punk, somebody's got to humble this lady.
Yeah, that too. Fuck wrestling fans or whatever the fuck he said. Like, yeah, fuck you, dude. And then, like, that like, we supported you. I got shirts and stuff, and like, now I'm just like, I feel like an asshole for supporting you, and I don't know what made him think that way, but I'm pretty sure he's gonna say it's us fans or something.
you know that's a common theme right now in many different companies. Walt Disney, Warner Brothers, they come out with these shows and they're like, "This isn't for you. This isn't for guys." And then when guys don't watch it, they're like, "Oh, this is failing because guys don't want to watch it. They're sexist." So
Yeah,
you really can't win in this current age, man. It's just how it is. And but there are some companies out there, like I said, that new Young Rippa, he's coming out with the Rippaverse. He's a up and coming comic book creator, and he might not agree with everyone politically, but he says whether I agree with you politically or not, feel free to buy my book. Feel free to give me the business. I'll take anyone's business. I don't care if I agree with you or not. And I mean, that's
Right.
kind of the way it should be, man. If you want to succeed, it's like you got to be ready to handle criticism from people that you don't agree with. And well, anyway, that wraps things up for today, guys. I just want to say thank you so much for listening to us on Freeform Network. If you're not already, please follow us on Facebook at Freeform Network. We're also on Twitter at FFR Podcast. And if you have any questions and suggestions, just like Andy said, drop that on ffnquestions@gmail.com. And well, for Freeform Radio, my name is Noel, and we have Daniel.
Yes, sir. I got a party to go to today, but I'm gonna try to watch a little football if I can.
And we got Andy.
It's all good, Andy. Let me know. My comments offended you. ffnquestions@gmail.com. Then I will tell you, don't fucking listen to our show ever again, fuckhead. Or maybe keep listening. I might change my mind.
Yeah, Andy, man. Let these people have their opinion, man. Yeah, let them hate you if they want to.
It's okay. Just buy my shirt. Fuck
Right,
Andy. As long as I get paid. Yes. When it comes out.
Yeah, regardless of how you feel about us, we want you to watch, we want you to tune in, and we wish you a great night and a beautiful tomorrow.
That was cool, Dad.